Welcome to the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, coming to you from the Cargo District Recording Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina, where we discuss the most fascinating topics of life. I'm Tyler Yaw with my co-host, Chris Kellum, and each week we interview a special guest to learn how they acquired their wisdom over a glass of whiskey. So, sit back, pour yourself a glass, and enjoy Whiskey and Wisdom.
Hey, you guys, welcome back. This week, it's your boy Chris and my constant main host, co-host,
Tyler.
And we brought on Jason Lampman, who is the owner of Renoja. It's a new wellness, is it a rejuvenation?
We call it a wellness studio.
Okay. In Mayfair. So It's in the...
Right to the right of Harris Teeter.
Yeah. I think that's the lifestyle side because they're considered two separate. There's like the main shopping and the lifestyle. So I say go check them out before you go pick up your Chick-fil-A.
I definitely agree.
Because it's right there.
You maybe balance out the fried Chick-fil-A.
Right. Or maybe you go make yourself feel better so you feel like you don't have to go to Chick-fil-A.
Right.
But this week, because we're still doing 75 hard,
Mm-hmm.
I know I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, and I tried the Unknown Craft Ginger Ale. We mixed it with the Spirit of Bourbon from Free Spirits.
Yep.
This week, we're just drinking it straight because the Unknown is apparently a brewery based out of Charlotte, and I didn't know that. I think right now they're in Newton, which I've been to Charlotte multiple times. I still don't know where Newton is.
Me either.
But yeah, it's a local, quote unquote, thing, and that's kind of what we're here to do, is support people and small businesses and local spots. Their ginger ale is actually real legit. They use actual real ginger root. They mix in some pure sugar cane, and then you got to top it off with some fresh lime juice. This thing tastes amazing, and it would be really good like summertime, like if you're mixing a drink, or if you got something that needs a little bit of like kick to it. Like if I'm eating I'm doing like grilled chicken with rice, you drink some of this.
Spiciness of the ginger.
But yeah, let's check it out. Cheers it up.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
I do have a quick confession to make. I told you guys I was doing 75 hard, and I was, but I only made it like 40 days. And,
still 40
I
days
say
is
that's
longer
pretty
than
good.
none.
Yeah.
it was good. It wasn't, the alcohol was fine. That was easy.
Right.
It was really the 2 workouts a day, like just finding the time.
Yes.
That was a struggle.
Yeah, and especially we were talking about before too, launching a business at the same time as doing 75 hard is one hell of a feat. So I give you props for even trying it.
It was
Gosh. Yeah. No, my wife hates it because she originally was going to do like her own like 75 medium and only do like one workout a day. And then I got her for like the first week, I got off at a decent time and she was walking with me.
Yeah.
And so now she's doing 2 a days. And she doesn't even get to walk with me half the time because I get home at like 8, still need to eat dinner, and I still have another workout to do. And I don't go out and walk until like 10:30.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the other night, I didn't even get out the house until like 11:15,
Wow.
11:45.
It's late night.
I was like, well, I'm out. It counts as long as I don't actually fall asleep. So
Exactly. Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself. You can start as early as you want.
Yeah, well, I was born young.
Right.
you didn't do a Benjamin Button?
I did not do a Benjamin Button. No, that would be kind of cool though. Well, so I moved to Wilmington 8 years ago.
Okay.
Okay.
My wife and I have kind of lived all over. We started dating right out of college in Vail, Colorado.
Oh.
I went to Florida State University, go Noles.
Oh, wow.
How did you end up in Colorado?
Right. Yeah. We just wanted to, my buddy and I say we threw a dart at a map and it landed on Vail. So that's where we went. And then from there, just to give you the very short version, moved to the Northeast for a little while, right outside of Boston, essentially. Ended up moving to Austin, Texas for a couple of years, and then up to Dallas for a couple of years. And then we moved over to the wine country, Lodi.
Oh, wow.
On California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lived there for a couple of years. From there, we went to Baltimore, Maryland. We were in Baltimore for 5 years, I guess. From Baltimore, we went to Nashville, Tennessee. We were in Nashville for a couple of years. And then at that point, we had 3 kids. And we were like, you know what? We want to find the right place to raise our kids. We were missing the water.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was like, hey, you want to come stay in my condo on Wrightsville Beach for a couple of weeks? And we're like, sure. Yeah. So we right. So we spent 2 weeks on the beach and said, yeah, this is where we're going to move. And that was 8 years ago. So here we are.
Gosh. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what brought you around pretty much the whole entire United States?
Yeah. So I think my wife grew up moving around a lot. I did not. I grew up in Tallahassee where Florida State is,
right.
But I'm just by nature, just love to travel. We both studied overseas for a while. In there, I didn't mention we were in Ireland for 3 months as well, considering moving there. But yeah, we like to adventure around a little bit. And then I actually went into ministry. So I was full-time pastor.
Wow.
And so that kind of moved me around a little bit to some different places. Dallas was where I went to grad school. And then from there, we kind of moved around, did some ministry. And last time I was in full-time ministry was in Baltimore. We worked down in the city.
Yeah.
Mostly with people on the street.
That's really neat.
I love Baltimore. I've only been there probably like 5 times, but I had a friend who lived on the north side, closer to Towson.
Yeah.
And it's a different city.
It's very different. It was great for young kids.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really want our kids in school, at least where we were, right in the middle of the city.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as they started getting older, it wasn't as great. But for when they were very young, there's great community there. All the houses, they're row homes.
Yeah.
So you're just really tight with your neighbors, and you can walk to the bank and the grocery store and all that kind of stuff. Very different from like suburb living that
Definitely.
the rest of the country has become,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so I was not that far away at all. So that was an easy day trip for us to head down there and hang out a little bit.
I feel like despite Wilmington being like a mid-size to small city, it's still a suburb kind of town. Like you can't just get up, let's walk to the grocery store in most places.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of sad about that. I grew up watching TV and people are like, oh, let's just walk to the store. I'm like, I can't do that.
It is really cool though. In the last couple of years, the change going on with downtown, and then I think there's a grocery store going in downtown right now, right?
Yeah, it was where the old grocery store used to be downtown, and they kind of revamped it
because they closed after Florence.
So, what got you out of ministry in the health and wellness industry, or was there a time in between there that?
Definitely a time in between. So, with 3 kids in ministry and the kind of ministry I was doing, which was on the street with homeless.
Right.
And I worked in a mission with men going through substance recovery.
Okay.
That part was, didn't pay the bills, right?
Right.
It wasn't like a church where they're taking up an offering and you're getting a salary from that or whatever.
Yeah.
I had another job, which was raising support. I had to go all over the country and get people to support our efforts and whatever. And I just, at some point I was like, this is going to be hard to be sustainable with 3 kids and looking ahead at college and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to find a job that I can do on the side and fund, the ability to do ministry. And I found something in sales and I was good at it and, started making pretty good money. And eventually we decided it was time to leave Baltimore. And at that point we decided we didn't leave ministry. We just left doing it, being paid to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's neat. So is that kind of what you did when you were moving around everywhere too? You kind of stayed in the ministry world?
Yeah. So I was in the ministry world moving all around. And then when I moved into this sales organization, we left Baltimore, that's when we moved to Nashville.
Oh, okay.
And at that point I moved into more of a leadership role within the company. The company decided to franchise. I moved into an executive type role and was able to live anywhere at that point.
Oh yeah.
Which is why we were able to move to Wilmington.
Right. Yeah. Very cool.
So in Nashville, did you find any good whiskey?
So I was talking to you guys a little bit before. So I love, and I was so excited they brought it just to the ABC here, Bellmead Bourbon. And they have both a regular and sometimes they'll have the reserve as well. It's a great, it's a $30, $40 bottle of bourbon. The reserve's like maybe 60 or so. It's very smooth. They do a phenomenal job with it. So the history actually goes back. If you look at Bellmead it's a city within the city of Nashville. It's its own city, right?
Oh, okay.
So you pay your taxes to that city and you pay to Nashville.
Oh, wow.
They have their own little police department. And we're only talking like 1,500 homes, right? In this quote city.
Yeah.
But it's an extremely wealthy city. And they have this old farm there where they used to make bourbon back in the 1800s, Bellmead Bourbon. And that eventually, stopped. And so a couple of guys, maybe 10, 15 years ago, decided that it was time to bring it back.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And now it's become a favorite.
That's neat. Yeah. So you said it's in the North Carolina ABC now?
Yeah, you can get it here. Yeah.
We'll have to check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Next. Yeah. When my brother-in-law comes in, we'll have him on. But they live in Tennessee. He did a stint at Fort Campbell, and then he got out, and now they're living in an RV doing whatever.
Nice.
I'm like, y'all are young enough to pull that off. Ain't no way my old self is going to get in an RV with 4 kids.
I'll tell you what, I got a buddy who just bought one of those big old Sprinter type vans, and he shipped it down to the furthest point in South America, and they're driving it all the way up.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like a year-long journey they're doing, him and his whole family.
Wow.
Yeah.
There is a section that you actually have to take a boat because you can't drive all the way through.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I only know this because I've randomly popped up and looked it up, but there's a section in like
the Panama Canal.
No. Central America, it's north of the Panama Canal. There's a spot that it's literally just forest because there's tribes and people that live there that will not let
I can see that.
people in. Wow. So there's no paths. And I was like,
probably smart of them.
That's kind of cool. I mean, it sucks that you can't just be like, yo, let me take a trip and just straight through it. But it's also kind of cool that there are parts of the world like that random island off of India that like normal people can't just go up and influence, I guess.
Yeah.
Keeping it clean.
Yeah. Exactly. So what made you want to go from an executive type role into this new business that you're doing now?
Yeah. So that's a really long story, but the short of it is, there was this, I don't know, that lots of people talk about this kind of exodus during COVID, people quitting their jobs and that kind of thing. Over the course of my last couple of years in that role, I had been focusing on passive investing, building up my income through investments that I'm not, actively managing. Right. And so we got to a point where financially, it made sense. I didn't need to be in that job anymore.
Right.
And, I was watching my kids heading into high school and I was thinking, I was working all the time and I love spending as much time with my kids as I could, but I was like, I'm not spending as much as I want. Right.
Right.
You really only have one chance to build a relationship with your kids. And the last thing I want is like, they go off to college or, 10 years from now, I expect to have a relationship with them when I didn't take the time to build it. So we decided it was time to leave and I did. And so I just focused 100% on my investing, which, took me 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that was great for about a year. And I started to get a little bit bored with it, to be honest. And a guy called me and he's like, hey, I know you had a big part to play in this other company that had become a franchise. And I've got this concept that I want you to come check out and that people always tell me I should franchise. And so I was like, cool. I flew out to Phoenix and checked it out. I loved it. And, we started to move forward.
Yeah.
But then to go back, like just, this specific industry, health and wellness. So I used to be that guy that was, my wife would be like, we got to get organic food. And I'm like, no, why would, what for? I'm like, it's just more expensive.
Yeah. So much more.
Right. So I was kind of like a naysayer with that, but we had some close friends that their daughter was struggling this was in Nashville, was struggling to take nutrients into her bones.
Oh, wow.
And she went to all kinds of hospitals and, it was the last thing I think was she was at the children's hospital and her parents were told like, you know what, there's really nothing you can do. She's going to get cancer. And when she gets cancer, you can bring her back here and we can treat her. And her parents, they refused to accept that. Right.
Yeah.
And so they dove hard into nutrition and I watched her mom just dig in at a deep level and find out that, with food and with other just natural things, she could actually create something that was nutrient rich that her daughter could absorb.
Wow.
And now, she's 15 years old. She's healthy as a horse, doing great. Crazy. No issues as far as cancer or any of that kind of thing. So that was kind of my first experience with that. The second experience was more recently with my own son. He was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. And, we had him up at Duke and everything, and they wanted to put him on a cancer drug, which is extremely toxic.
Yeah.
And we were like, we don't really want to put our young son on that. He was struggling with a lot of joint issues and, trying to play soccer through that and all that. And so we did a similar thing. We figured out like, different foods that maybe he shouldn't be eating or, and, within several months he didn't have any symptoms anymore. And at that point, the doctors were even like, well, it couldn't be from that. It couldn't be from
of course not.
Right. And we were, we just were like, no, it definitely was. Right. And to give some credit to one of the doctors, he was like, listen, whatever you're doing is working. So stick with it. And, again, that was a couple years ago and he's doing great. And so my mind was reshaped over time about what it means to be healthy and, what are some of the ways that we can get healthy outside of, filling ourselves with a bunch of drugs and that kind of thing. So that sparked the passion in me for that.
I have a very similar story with my son as well too. So he had extremely bad eczema, like almost head to toe covered eczema.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, you can put him on this drug or that drug. And like, he's 1 year old. Like we don't want to put him on all these things. Like, well, you can give him these immune suppressant shots for the rest of his life. Like that doesn't seem like a way to get set up for success. And my mom's a naturopath, so it was just her in her blood anyway. Yeah. So like there's more of a natural way to do this. So we just went through, we created a new protocol and everything for kids that have eczema and put him on that. And he's completely fine. Nothing wrong, anything at all.
It's awesome.
And there's a few kids that started going to, there's a woman that my mom works with as well. And I started the same protocol with these other kids and it seems to be working. So to your point, eating healthy food and health and wellness has something to say about your overall kind of body.
It's surprising that we don't, it seems like the last couple of decades, we've not really considered that food is the thing that we're putting in our body the most is something that can impact our health the most.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go into conspiracy theories all we want. We had Thaddeus on the other weekend. I love talking to him. He has so many thoughts. And I'm just like, I listen to conspiracies all the time, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is part of the reason why so many people are overweight and sick and at the hospital all the time. It's because they're all conspiring together because it's so much more expensive to do the right thing for your body. And also no one wants to actually go out hunt and you don't want to grow your own food.
They just want the easy fix too. Like I want to eat my Oreos and I just want to take this pill and get it over with as opposed to doing the hard work.
Well, it's also the cheap fix, right? I mean, it is cheaper to go get a couple of burgers at your local McDonald's than it is to make something healthy at home.
Yeah.
But and I don't think people think about this as like all you're doing is like you're treating the symptom, not like the actual root cause. Well, yeah, the symptom at the moment is you're hungry, but why are you so hungry all the time? Because you're not eating something that's nutrient rich or carb dense of like healthy stuff. Right. So then and then what happens in the long run is then your body hurts even more. And you're not, well, I'm 15. It doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it doesn't hurt you now, but when you hit 30, you can't touch your toes or you hit 50 and you have arthritis all throughout your body and you can't figure out, well, if I had done things differently.
Well, I'm the last one to judge too, because I tell you, my daughter loves bread.
Yeah.
She will eat bread like, nobody's business. And, in the morning I'll be like, really, that's what you're going to eat? Like to get your nutrients to get going for the day. So, I know it's hard as a parent to figure out all right.
That balance for sure.
So wait, if you don't what do you eat to start your day?
So I don't eat breakfast. I'm a real big intermittent faster.
Yeah. Okay.
And for me, that means pretty much I stop eating around 7:00 at night. I don't eat until around 12:00 in, noon. So that's my first meal. And, there's exceptions to that. I'm not crazy about it, but from going out to breakfast with my team or with my kids or something like that, then, I'll do that. But yeah, otherwise I'm pretty, nothing for breakfast.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's typically what I do.
Oh, intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm. Mine's usually 8 to 12.
That makes sense.
Yep. But tell us a little bit more about Renoja and what it means and the meaning behind it and what you hope to accomplish.
Yeah. So when we started it, kind of going back to, the last company I worked in, the thing that I was most passionate about there is we were helping people to start their own business. And so I'm really passionate about that. And then you already heard, like, I'm really passionate about health and wellness. So this was kind of bringing those two things together with the opportunity to build a business that we think can be franchised, but also something that's going to help a lot of individuals who are using the facility. So Renoja, we randomly came across this name. We got really lucky. It's one of those things, like, these days, finding a one-word domain.com.
So hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. And so, I'm obviously very spiritual, and I was like, man, God just brought us this name.
Yeah.
And so the name itself refers to, when you look at it as far as a person, like, that name refers to a person who's always giving to others, so much so that they forget to take care of themselves. And we wanted to be a place where the givers of the world, the impact makers, could come and take care of themselves, because you can't really be 100%. You can't make the 100% impact if you're not taking care of yourself. Yep. So that was number one. And then, one day some guy looked at me and he's like, "Oh, Renoja." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Renoja." And that means renew. And so I didn't even know that when we picked the name.
That's a perfect circle.
Yeah. So it was awesome. We got, so that's where the name came from. But like I said, I have a partner that out in Phoenix, he had started a center out there, a little different name. And, the response he was getting from people was they were always happy. Like, that's one of the things he loved about the business. He's like, we just don't have people that are upset. They don't come in angry. If they come in angry, they leave happy.
Right.
And so that was kind of fun and exciting. Yeah. And in fact, I sat down with my team just last week. We had breakfast over at First Watch. Yeah. And which, by the way, I love First Watch. It's very good.
I do too.
I haven't had it yet.
Really?
I know. I'm missing the train.
It's tasty.
It's right. Well, I work at Reed's, so it's literally across the parking lot.
Yeah.
And on Saturday mornings when we have a meeting, and you just walk out and it's just, you smell the bacon. And I'm like,
They have a lot of good, healthy food too.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay.
No, so I just smell the bacon because that's usually what's like grilling up. But no, they actually have some really healthy options.
Yeah.
Despite what, like, my first assumption when I walked over there, because they have like candied bacon as like an appetizer and like the full size plate pancakes and waffles, but then they have actual like oatmeal and like
avocado toast and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah. But digressing there. So we were over there and they were just, all saying how much they love. This is the best work environment they've had, not because of something I've made, but because the interaction they get to have with our clients, the customers that come in, and they're just, people that are dealing with a lot of things, and, they share a lot of things with our team, and, it's a lot of fun.
So what do you offer over there for everyone?
And so our philosophy is really like, you can come in there are three main reasons that people come in. Number one is, like, some people will come in just because they want like a spa type experience. Right. To set it up, we are a self-service. We're very much like a gym. So just like a gym where you'd walk in and you kind of go use a piece of equipment, that's how we are. We have private suites, so people can come in and they can use a piece of equipment in a private suite. We have wipes in every room, so people kind of wipe down equipment before or after their service. There's no person in there with them. They're literally going in, locking the door, and using the service. But so we have people that come in, and our services feel great. So you can come in and, for instance, we have our infrared sauna bed. This is like, when people go into a sauna, typically, the things they don't like is, one, you're like sitting on a hard bench, and sometimes you're like eye level with the guy with the towel on. Yes. Right. It's not the best. The second thing is like the heat, like your head gets really hot too.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So an infrared sauna bed, you actually lay down in, your head has cool fans blowing on it, and it can get up to 194 degrees. So you can get really hot in there, and the bed is massaging as you're laying there. So it's a really, like, it can be a spa-like experience. Yeah. But you can also burn 200 to 400 calories in 20 minutes just laying there.
Oh my goodness.
Right. And then there's so many benefits to infrared heat in general. Really reduces inflammation, which is kind of the cause of so many things in our body these days. So we have people that come in just because they just want to relax in that. And then we have people that come in very much for health reasons. Like, they're dealing with all kinds of arthritis. They've had all kinds of surgeries. They've got lots of inflammation in their body. They might be dealing with issues with their skin. There are so many different things that people can be dealing with, and they can come in and use our service. So like, one of our most popular is our red light bed. So it's a complete bed that has different wavelengths that you can set. So for instance, you could set it to a certain wavelength that's going to at least a lot of studies will show that it helps with your skin, specifically things like bruising or scars or eczema, or, my boys will use it for acne, right? So any of those types of things can be, really useful for. There's another setting, right? A different wavelength that a lot of studies will show that help with inflammation and arthritis and pain management, all those kinds of things. So that's quickly become one of the favorites in there as well. We also have dry float. So a lot of people are familiar with like float therapy, right? It's like this immersion experience, but for some people, they don't want to get in a tub, right? Filled with water. They don't like the water in their ears. It can be a pretty long experience. You have to shower, get in and take another shower. And so ours is you lay on a board, it sinks below you. There's a membrane between you and the water. It almost looks like a water bed, except there's no structure to it. So you literally float on the water, but there's a membrane between you, so you don't get wet. So you can be in your sweats or whatever, lay down. And then we've turned that same room into basically a salt cave. There's a lot of studies again on the benefits of breathing in salt air. So we've got a salt generator that's blowing in pharmaceutical grade salt for people to breathe in for things like bronchitis or allergies or all these different things. So some people will come and they'll just relax and they'll take that spa environment, and then they'll, also get the health benefit. But then the third thing, so we got the spa, we got people that are coming in for health, and then we've kind of got like your restoration, your recovery. So like your athlete who is, maybe just finished, a marathon, and they're coming in and they're putting on the compression stockings, which is doing a lot of lymphatic flushing through your legs. Athletes who just want to just get their muscles recovered as quickly as possible so they can go on to the next thing. Yeah.
That's really neat. One of the things that I saw that got me really interested in it was the dry float tank, and then having the salt that's pumped in there too. Yeah. Because my two favorite ways of relaxation was the float tank and the salt cave. And I was like, you have that all in one room and I don't have to get wet.
Yeah.
Like, this is fantastic.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. You don't get wet. And then you also you put on headphones, and we've got guided meditation if you want. Which is good for a guy like me. My mind is always going 100 miles a minute. So this allows, the meditation is one way that, can force your brain not to be thinking about other things. Right. Of course, you can just put on your earbuds and do some soft music if you want. People will come in and they'll just take a nap. Yeah. And we actually have this thing called a nappuccino. Have you guys ever heard of that?
No. I've seen you post something about it, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah. So I love the nappuccino because, especially in my last company when I was just working like nonstop, right? I find, and it's not just me, like there's a lot of studies that show that people are most effective early in the morning, right? Because they're fresh and they go. So for me, it was like right around that 2:00 time frame, like I would start to lose a lot of energy. So what a nappuccino is you drink like a espresso, a cappuccino, a cup of coffee, whatever, and it takes 25 to 30 minutes for caffeine to actually hit your bloodstream. Okay. So what we do is, hey, you come in, we have one of those Nespressos, amazing coffee. I don't know if you ever guys, I love their coffee, and people will take one of those and then they'll jump in the float bed, do a 20, 25 minute session. And then when they get up, they're actually, the caffeine's hitting their bloodstream now. They feel great.
Oh, wow.
I'm not saying caffeine's a healthy thing necessarily.
Right. Good way to get you through the rest of the day.
But it gets you through the rest of the day. Yeah.
Nice. I'm going back because you guys do you said the red light.
The red light bed.
There you go.
Yeah.
My brain was on too many different wavelengths. And in my head is because do you think that the red light helps like with healing more so like as the opposite to blue light?
So we have both. Okay. So we have the red light bed is specifically red light, but then we also have kind of like your Cadillac version of a massage chair. Okay. Not like you've tried in the airport type thing. But it's as close as you can get to a real person's massage, right? But in that room, we also have light therapy, which is multi-spectrum. So you can do red. That's where my boys will actually do the acne treatment with the blue light. And then there's a couple other colors that mixed in. So people will come in there and they'll put that over their face or a specific part of their arm. From a healing standpoint, most of the research that I've read is red light is typically more used for that. Blue lights are used in preemies often at hospitals. Okay. They're used, that's the setting that you're usually using for like acne or for skin specifically. But once you go to the red light bed and you get down to like 850 wavelength, and I won't go on to all that, I won't nerd out on the tech stuff here, but that's where it starts going really deep, right? So you got to get that right wavelength. It's not This isn't just like a red LED light that you got in your garage or something, right? So it's getting down there like, 6 millimeters deep and getting into your blood and your muscles and your tendons and stuff. And that's where it's supposed to help.
So what's one of your favorite things to use at Renoja?
I mean, I love the compression, honestly.
Okay.
Because I run every morning. And so if I can, I'll jump in there and just do 20 minutes on compression. My legs feel great. My wife's had 3 pregnancies and like her legs have had vein issues. So she loves that compression as well. I can't wait for our cryo machine. The cryo machine that we have coming is unlike anything else in town. We've had people call us and say, what kind of cryo machine do you have? And they're typically have been, tourists.
Yeah.
And when we tell them, they're like, oh, thank God. And they're like excited about it. So I can't wait for that to get here because I think people are going to be blown away with that.
Can you help me get over my fear of the cryo machine? I just don't like being cold.
Yeah. So the cool thing about our machine, so the way it works is it's a two chamber machine.
Okay.
So if you're used to cryo, most cryo has traditionally been this thing that you stand in, they close the door on you. Somebody's out there holding a towel or a robe for you. And then all of a sudden all this smoke comes up because the nitrogen's pouring in. Yeah. And that's not what this is. This is run on electricity. So think of like a walk-in cooler, but much colder.
Okay.
So the way this works is you walk into chamber one. Chamber one is 30 degrees. So it's not terribly cold. It's very dry, right? Because the moisture is kind of the enemy of this. So there's not really moisture in the air. So you don't feel it the same way you would in like a wet cold.
Okay.
It's like Colorado cold versus like Massachusetts cold.
Yeah.
So you walk in, it's 30 degrees. That's getting the ambient room temperature off your body. And then you go into the next chamber.
Okay.
Which is
cold.
Yeah. I mean, somewhere in that neighborhood of 100 to 150 below.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How long are you in that for?
So the idea is you're in that. So the first chamber you're in for 30 seconds, the other chamber you're in for 3 minutes.
Okay.
But the cool thing is because you're just walking in, you can walk out whenever you want. Right. So there might be someone that's like, hey, can I do 4 minutes? And they could, like, it's not gonna, they're not gonna die in 4 minutes. Not gonna get frostbite everywhere.
Yeah. Right.
And we do make people, you have to wear mittens and, slippers and that kind of thing. But it's the cool thing is when you walk out, if you've ever experienced like a runner's high, you'll have a similar feeling because what's happening while you're in there is it's shocking your body and you're getting all these chemicals sent to your brain. So like dopamine and endorphins and all that kind of stuff is being produced. So there's a lot of research saying that it can be really good for things like Alzheimer's and, memory loss and that kind of stuff. It's not going to revert from somebody who's dealing with it, but it can really, at least some of the studies are showing that it can really help, keep that from happening because of all the chemicals being produced in your brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then your body just goes into shock, like flight or fight, mode.
Yeah.
And you come out and, it's an experience. There's lots of people that say, I don't know if I want to try that one. Like you got to try it once.
Right.
You got to just try it because you'll fall in love with it.
That's neat. Yeah. That seems a little bit more doable than like the ones that you were describing before. I'm like, that just doesn't sound.
Yeah, you're not trapped.
Yeah. Like, I don't like being cold and I'm like claustrophobic. So those things together.
Yeah. This thing has windows, like you're seeing like the whole thing and it's much bigger space. And then people who've done it, the experience is so different because your head is in there. So with those other ones, like, there's hot spots in them because you can't just get the nitrogen to go perfectly, right? This is totally uniform. And with your head in there, you just feel, it's just a very different feeling.
Nice.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So do most people come in, just do one thing and leave? Or is there like a magical, like, I wouldn't say magical necessarily, but a process that if you have this, you should do 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, there's not like an order. People are always like, hey, what's the order I should do things in? Like, should I do, this one first or that one first? And I mean, there's some of that where you can say, well, yeah, you want to do this one first because you're going to get really sweaty in this other one. But there's not a real order. The vast majority of people, I mean, interesting enough, the cool thing about for us anyway, is we just want to get people in because 90% of people that come in, they actually join.
Wow.
Which is a very, very high number, in business. So
it's an incredible retention rate.
Yeah. So it's just like, we just want to get people in because we know once they've tried it, they've experienced it, they're going to see the benefits and they're going to love it. So yeah, most people will come in and they'll do like 2 services a day.
Okay.
And then, I don't know that we have a lot of people that would come in and just do once. I'm sure once the cryo is up, some people will just run in because it's such a short service.
Right.
They're going to run in and we do have that. We'll have people on their lunch break who are members.
Yeah.
We'll just, they'll call us and say, hey, I'm going to come in and do, 20 minutes the nap thing on cappuccino on the float bed. It just depends on the person, but yeah, most people are coming in doing 2 services.
Okay. Is there anything you suggest? So my full-time job is right behind you and I'm dressed in like a nice shirt and nice pants. Is there something you suggest I could come in and do on a lunch break?
Well, I definitely, the compression is one thing that you can easily do on a lunch break, but the salt and dry float obviously is something that you can do anytime on a lunch break. And like I said, just to get refreshed for the rest of the day. Outside, the massage chair is definitely something someone can do. And even the red light bed, if somebody were doing that consistently, it is something you got to do consistently. That's why we have the membership thing, to be honest. When we were looking at health and wellness, it's like, all right, well, you could come in here and just enjoy a service. Mm-hmm. So we actually have a membership that's like, 4 services a month. I don't really, it's like, people could look at me and say, well, you're going to sell us the largest membership because financially it makes the most sense for you. And I'm like, honestly, that's not it. The four a month, it actually makes me more money.
True.
Because you're not coming and using all the space. Yeah. But you're not really getting the health benefits because you can't really use a red light bed, once a month and make it an impact. So that's why we our unlimited plan is such a deal because we want people to come in a couple of times a week and really utilize it because we know that they're going to see the results they want to see then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, the red light bed, to answer your question, it gets warm, but it doesn't get hot. So you don't sweat.
Okay.
So, between that and the dry float, massage chair and compression, those are kind of the ones that you can do without getting anything. Now we have another one that I didn't mention yet called our hydration detox. And I sort of joke, I call this a car wash for your body. You literally get in this machine and it's like a steam room. First off, your head is sticking out. So your head has a cool fan on it again. You're laying down and you can steam your whole body, but then you can also spray your body and it sprays top and bottom. Right.
Oh, wow.
So these jets are coming out and spraying you in certain orders. And part of the idea is it steams your body first. It opens up all your pores and then the spray, it gets it basically detoxing your body.
Yeah. So, wow.
People that are looking for ways to detox, it's a great detox. And then again, if, we don't really market weight loss, that's not really our thing. But if you were literally to go and do our infrared sauna, which is you get really hot and sweaty or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you go and do this, both of them are going to burn 200 to 400 calories each. Oh, wow. So you could come in there and burn 600 to 800 calories, in a spa type environment, really enjoying it.
That's neat.
Which is crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
I tell those people all right, listen, you still got to exercise.
Right. Yeah. This isn't the magic bullet.
No,
here.
It's not a magic bullet.
But it's also cool. You explaining the different things to me gives that extra perspective, I would say, to the younger people, because it helps you, your kids are in high school, right? They're doing this. This is preventative maintenance to keep yourself going further and longer in the long run. And I think that's good to have something like that. I mean, yeah, everyone hears, oh, just go to the chiropractor. But I'm that's just telling somebody to go see the doctor. It's not a one pill fixes everything kind of setup.
Yeah. And if you look at where else do you see our equipment outside of a studio like ours? It's in NFL locker rooms.
Yep.
You know what? I mean, that float bed that we have, that dry float bed, it doesn't exist in a lot of places around the country except for NFL locker rooms. Clemson University has it. Miami University, University of Alabama has it. A lot of this stuff is in those places. So you got to ask yourself, if those elite athletes that are in tip top, shape are using this stuff, why? Why would I not want to use it?
So most of our listeners are going to be between 28 to 35. So on the hustle a lot and everything. What's kind of the value prop to those guys out there and what can they gain from it?
Yeah, I think so from a health perspective, and this is just opinion, right? So I don't have a ton of data to share with you on this, right? But I think 2 of the biggest things that people are struggling with these days in that age group and even younger are inflammation, right? Just because of our diets. So that's number 1. And number 2 is anxiety, depression, anxiety, and all kinds of things that are going on with their head, stress, especially if you're in that running after it, chasing success.
Right.
Yeah. And so a lot of things we do fight against stress and anxiety and inflammation, which are 2 biggest, things that are causing health issues. And if you don't think stress causes physical things, you got something coming because it will at some point.
Yeah, definitely. And I was actually listening to a different podcast earlier, and just the amount of hormones that go through your body from stress and how much that can impact not even just your weight in general, because that's one big thing, but just your mood, your mentality, like everything on top of it. It's crazy. I didn't realize the actual physical impact that stress can put upon you.
It's massive. It's massive. And a lot of stuff going on with your blood and your heart. And, a lot of our services are, help to lower blood pressure. And, again, with the shocking of your body in the right way with the cold therapy and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help people. We actually have, several younger under the age of 18 people that have joined or their parents and them have joined just for stress and anxiety.
Oh, wow.
Alone. So
yeah,
it's showing me like, this is going to be, especially with the way the COVID thing went down. I think there's going to be a lot more of this in that next generation.
No, I definitely see the value for that for sure. When I saw it come in, I got super excited, like I said, just because of everything that it's offering. And I think it's coming at the perfect timing too.
Yeah, we're excited about it. The last thing I didn't mention that we do have service-wise, we're not a fitness place, right? So we're partnering with Orange Theory Fitness.
Yeah. We're
doing some stuff with them to try to get both of our members. Like we want our members, exercising, like I said,
right,
spending time doing that. They want their members recovering and looking for all the ways they can grow and get healthy. We do have one piece of fitness equipment in our place. It's our fitness sauna. So we have another infrared sauna. It's not quite as big as this room, but it's not much smaller. It's 9x7. There's plenty of space in there, and we've got TRX in there.
Okay.
And people will go in there and do that or do yoga. But working out, I tell you, I did it the other day, and I was like, working out in 125 degrees is not easy.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It is challenging, but I don't think we were really designed to like work out in air conditioning. I'm not sure air conditioning.
Good point. Yeah.
There's a lot of research that shows that like working out in heat is like 3 to 4 times more impactful. One thing that, is important to distinguish is it's not just heat, it's infrared heat. So the infrared heat waves are what are helping to, again, detox and get into your muscles and your bones and reduce your inflammation and, all those types of things. So when I go running, I'm running first thing in the morning.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, there's definitely the value with the infrared heat. Yeah, just to make sure we do have that completely separate. We're not talking about like working out in the middle of the day in Wilmington, North Carolina, and the like humidity out there. It's meant to actually help bring out the toxins, like you said, and to help with your body while you work out.
Well, and the humidity makes all the difference, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
it's such a drastic difference.
I know. I literally walked in this morning and my wife was, she said, "So how was your run?" I said, "It was wet."
Yeah.
And she was like, When are we going to cool down? It's time. Now it's funny. We always go back and forth, right? It's like, when are we going to cool down? And it's like, when is it going to get warm?
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. We had our false fall at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
Or beginning of August. And now it's back to like, the true summer. And then probably end of September, it'll get cool again.
Yeah. So with location wise, did you decide to put it here just because you lived here, or did it make a lot of sense to just demographically?
Yeah, it was just because I lived here.
Yeah.
I told my partner, if we're going to really try to build this as a franchise, I want it to be involved with every little detail and see it inside and out. So we built it here. We're looking at one right now up in Fredericksburg.
Oh, okay.
One out in Lincoln, Nebraska, and then one down in Florida. So we're working on those and continue to make this one better and, learn from our clients.
You know much better than I do, but just thinking like franchise wise, I feel like that's a good kind of value to bring to another franchisee too. It's like, hey, we made this work in a county of 250,000 people.
Sure.
Like if you can show the growth and value there, then if you take it to Tampa, like I'm sure sky's the limit.
Yeah. I think we probably have room for 2 here.
Yeah.
So, we'll look at, somewhere down around the point or something at some point.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But for now, it's a great start. And, as our members, we already have members that are like, when are you going to build one down there? Cause that's where they live.
Yeah,
exactly.
I always forget how big Wilmington has gotten. Cause like I've grown up here. So to me, driving to the mall and driving home, and I lived in Rocky Point, I'm like, it's 20 minutes. Like it's no big thing. But now you're like, I have people who call me who live in Carolina Beach, and they're like, well, I have to schedule a trip to come to Mayfair. I'm like, you got to schedule a trip to come up here? We're not that far. but technically, I mean, you really are.
So when you were building this out, what was one of the biggest challenges that you faced?
Oh, wow. There's so many,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, like I said, our cryo isn't in yet. We ordered that over a year ago. Supply chain issues just got crazy.
Yeah.
So we had all kinds of issues with our equipment. The build out was fairly fast. We had an awesome builder. They did a great job. We got things done quickly. Our lease took forever. It took 6 months to get our lease signed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Right. So,
it's
people don't, they're like, they can't even fathom that. It's like, yeah, we want that space. Okay. Here's the price. Okay. Well, let's just do a little negotiation. That's not how it works.
You're like,
Yeah.
we have to send it to our corporate person, and then they have to look it over and send it up the chain and then send it back down. And
With lawyers, you have to get lawyers involved, and it takes weeks and weeks just to get like one little change back, and just going back and forth. And
Was that because of the build out that you wanted to do?
I just think it's because, you know, the people who are local here and our center are awesome, but they're not the ones doing that. It's
Right.
it's getting shipped across the country to the owners, and you know, that's just the process. You know,
I see. Yeah.
when you're a large company, like you said, like processes just move a little slower. So
Yeah. Makes sense.
and you know, we wanted to negotiate. We wanted to get the best deal we could, and so did they. That's how it works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah.
So what's one of the goals, like short-term goals that you have for Renoja and where you plan to expand?
Yeah. I mean, short term, the goals are, we just simply want to help as many people here as we can. We also want to create a sense of community. So one of the things that we do is once a month, we close down to bring in another organization to use our center. And we want our members to be involved with that. So, you know, we're inviting them, hey, come in and let's, you know, I mean, one of the places my wife and I support is a safe place. And, you know, we think sex trafficking is, you know, one of the greatest terrors of our current modern times. And, you know, so anything we can do to support those types of organizations. We also want to, like, you know, we want to bring firefighters in, and we bring teachers in. So we want to just give back to the community, and we want our members to be involved with that. So we're trying to find ways to bring that community together. Cause, you know, I mean, your health and your wellness in general, it is a journey. It's not like there's no quick fixes. You know, 75 hard is probably as close as you can get, maybe. But yeah. So we're trying to build that in the short term, like a sense of community around the desire to get healthy. Long term, we want to help individuals who want to build their own business to launch these, and then they get to help and, you know, really impact a community locally. So that's kind of our you know, I won't go into numbers necessarily, but we'd love to see, you know, dozens and dozens of these over the next 2 years. So that's
definitely.
Yeah.
What does your ideal franchisee look like? So someone who's listening right now, like if you could make the perfect person, who would that be out there?
Yeah. So I'm going to do a little like switch on you here, because I've been using the word franchisee as well. And I'm not a big fan of actual franchise. And the reason I'm not is because it's sold as if like we're going into partnership together, but it's not reality. The franchisor is always trying to get as much as they possibly can out of the franchisee. And so for me, we're not actually franchising. We have a model that looks like a franchise, but it's more of a partnership.
Okay.
And the reason for that is I have no reason to franchise. I make way more money building units than I will franchising.
Right.
So there's no financial incentive for me to franchise it out. But like I said earlier, like I love helping people build their own business. That's where I get a lot of passion out of it.
Yeah.
And so our model is not exactly a franchise. It's more of a partnership. So people aren't buying into our system. We're actually helping fund a percentage of the business ourselves. So that makes us extremely picky, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't just have someone come in and it's like, well, they paid me $40,000. Who cares if they fail or succeed?
Right.
No, it's like, I'm going to be putting $40,000 into that. So you better succeed, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I've got a backup plan if you don't, right?
Yeah.
But so ideally there are two people. One is, you know, I mentioned like I got into passive investing. The business is not one that the owner necessarily has to be there all the time. This isn't like a, 80-hour work week type of business. It's designed to be fairly passive. I don't know that there's anything that's truly passive when it comes to owning a business. Yeah. And I'm certainly not passive right now. But the idea is for that investor who's looking for another franchise. I've got a lot of friends in the franchise, or, I'm using that term still, but space, who own, different franchises and whatever, and they don't want to be in the day-to-day. So our system is set up to be something that you don't have to necessarily necessarily be in day to day if you don't want to.
Right.
So there's that type of person who can, who's looking for that. Then there's the person that's just really looking for, this is going to be their job. Maybe they're passionate about helping people. Maybe they're passionate about health and wellness in general. Maybe it's fitness that they're passionate about and they love the way this ties into that. But ultimately they want to run a business. And I especially love those people that are, in a similar situation where like, I'm having kids and I want to be a great dad or a great mom. Someone who's like, I want to have some freedom in my life. I don't know if you guys have read like, some of the great books when it comes to financing, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad type stuff. Yeah. Right. So, the concept of like, I don't want to just be an employee all my life. Nothing wrong with that. Like, that's certainly for some people, but for those who are like, hey, I want to own my own business, but I'm not the kind of guy who's going to go figure it out. Right. Cause not everybody's the figure it out guy.
Right.
True. And I can tell you we didn't go through all the challenges, right? We really didn't go through barely any. The challenges are extensive when you're figuring it out, but I love that.
Right.
Like that to me is exciting and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But we want to produce something that's like, all right, here you go. It's kind of on a platter.
Yeah.
Go out there and go for it.
That's really neat.
So my random question for you, because I always ask one for everybody.
Yes.
How well do you see the Seminoles doing this year?
Well, we're 2-0, which is better than last year where we were 0-4 to start the season. Like I am a optimist always with Florida State. Yeah. I grew up during the good years. My son, I'll tell you this quick story. Yeah. He was out playing golf my son wasn't playing. This is when he was like, I don't know, maybe 8. My father-in-law was out playing golf. Okay. And they came by, they lived on the golf course and they came by. And so my son ran out to go say hi to him while I was by and he was playing with Bobby Bowden. And he was like, hey, this is Bobby Bowden. And my son's like, oh, cool. He didn't, he didn't have any clue who Bobby Bowden is. Get back, I'm like, you met Bobby Bowden? Yeah. So yeah, I'm an optimist. I think I like Coach Norvell. I think he's awesome. I think we have some really talented players on the team. I think Jordan Travis has really is looking. Against LSU, he looked phenomenal. Like he looked like the kind of quarterback we've been missing for a while. Yeah, so he was looking great. Our running backs, I don't know where Benson was, but Ward, and we had some great running backs, great receivers. We got 6'7" Wilson. He's the guy's he's huge beast. Yeah, I know somebody's like, why don't they just do like the whole Brady thing down the field? Right. Grotz, yeah. So yeah, we got, and our defense looked amazing. Now I don't know how good LSU is, right? So that's yet to be seen. Yeah. So but I can tell you, like last year we lost to Jacksonville State first game. So I'm like, well,
yeah, it kind of sets the tone.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, this year we killed, I don't remember. I can't even remember who we played, but so it's like, all right, well, we're looking good. And we even looked a lot better in that game than against LSU. We only won by 1, but we looked like a much better team than, in my opinion, than LSU. Yeah. There was a couple of bad play calls, I'd say, on our part and a couple weird things that happened. But anyway, long answer to, short question because I'm passionate that Florida State is still number one. Regardless.
My second random question: do you have an NFL team you root for?
I probably would get crushed. Like people hate. You either love Tom Brady or you don't. Right. So my wife's family's all New Englanders, and so we were kind of Patriot fans, and we like watching him. So it doesn't matter where he is, Bucks or whatever. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Jameis does out at the Saints. So I like to watch Florida State guys. Yeah, and there's a lot of them in the NFL. So yeah, I kind of track with those guys. But no, I've never had really like when you grow up in a college town and Florida State is like there, and you're in the top 5 every year. As I was growing up, you really just focus in on that. And so I just never became like a real NFL guy.
Makes sense.
I was just curious.
Yeah. Well, we are starting to run up on an hour now. So last question of the morning, I suppose, is if you were to tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Oh, wow. I think I would probably tell myself that you don't know everything. Yeah. Right. So when you're, I see it in my boys even now, but I guess you always see it in your teenagers, right? Yeah. But even you get into like your 20s and stuff, and you kind of think you know everything. And have you guys ever heard of the Enneagram test? Yes. Okay. So I'm an 8. I'm a challenger. Okay. Yeah. And so I challenge everything, and I don't think I know everything now, but I know for several years I kind of did.
Yeah.
I don't mean I kind of did know everything.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would tell myself, like, listen more. I think it's probably maybe the best way to say it. Just listen more. Don't always be the one with the answer, but listen first, at least.
Right. I like that one. It's funny too, because I grew up in the social media age, and especially with Facebook, it shows you all of the stupid things that you posted over the past 10 years for me.
Yeah.
And I see the things that I posted when I was like a sophomore in high school, and I'm like, wow, what an idiot. Like, I thought I knew all of this stuff. I was like, but looking back on it, like, made no sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, completely right.
That's why I try to avoid social media as much as possible, so I don't look stupid later.
Right. Yeah. It stays out there. You can't take it back.
That's right. Yeah.
Which leads into, where can people find your business and or you on the interwebs?
Yeah. So we do have an Instagram page, and I've been posting my mug on there, probably too much, showing videos. I think we have like a time-lapse tour coming up on there.
Oh, cool.
Sometime this week. So you'll be able to go through it in like 30 seconds, see the whole space. So that's at Renoja_wellness on Instagram. We have a Facebook page as well. And then, of course you can Google us, and I mean, we're the first thing that pops up when you put in, there's not a lot of Renojas out there.
Right.
Which is another cool thing about the name. It's easy to find, but more importantly, like, we just tell people, hey, listen, if you're a local, we'll usually let you come in and try a couple services. So just stop by, ask if you can try a couple services. And, like I said, 90% of people end up joining. So,
yeah. So all my friends out there that do go to Orange Theory all the time and Kale Me Crazy right next door, make sure you take a few extra steps and go check out Renoja as well.
Yeah. Hey, one last thing with Orange Theory. So they're doing a triathlon this month, and we're going to be there. We're going to come out and join. So all the guys that are going there that are part of that that little triathlon, we're going to come bring our compression out there, cool. and be there for the athletes afterwards.
Nice. Cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Nice. So we're going to wrap it up. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for listening and joining us on our wellness journey, as I'd like to call it, as we go through 75 hard and get our butts handed to us on a very regular basis. But Renoja, I'm happy it opened when it did, because we actually have the chance to properly heal ourselves after 2
workouts a day, and definitely need some rejuvenation.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So definitely check them out. Like we said, it's in Mayfair, right next to Harris Teeter, by the nail salon. Did you replace the nail salon?
Yeah, we're right between Quick Cuts and the nail salon.
Yeah. See, I was like, I remember some things. But yeah, definitely check them out. Thank you guys for all the people who've left us reviews. We definitely enjoy it. And for those who didn't, please leave us one. We always love a 5-star review. And
it really helps us out with people finding us.
Yes. So. Yeah. And, it leads us to our next giveaway, which we'll have in the future. So the more 5 stars we get, the faster we can get to that giveaway.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Jason.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.